Okay. Um. It is 0 hour 13. Um. October 18th, 2018, and I found out some more stuff. That stuff about how those females were being kept prisoned in their own homes and forced to forced to participate in the voice to skull psyops being done on me and my mom. That's not true. Not for the most part. There's only one female, and um, she is with the U.S. Army. Uh, but she is being forced to participate. She is with Army intelligence, and she is usually, for the most part, the only person that is actually speaking to me on the Voice of Skull. At least now. Not before. There were more people before, but she's been here since the beginning, and she is stationed. I believe, she claims. She says a lot of stuff. I mean, but I believe her to be stationed at Fort Meade, Maryland, and she may be part of the 308th Military Intelligence Battalion. Um, and commander is Colonel John Clausen. That's what she said, anyway. I know, I'm almost certain that she is part of the U.S. Army, so it makes sense. And so there's no woman being held in their homes, but she is doing this under duress. And what I believe is that she's answering to her superior officer. She is an officer herself. She is in her late 30s to early 40s. She what's going on is this is a CIA controlled effort. They coordinate it, and it's always been like this. They've been after my family for generations, and my mom since she was a kid, at least. Let me see. This woman has been used to do this, the Voice to Skull, since as far back as 2012. That is when they started threatening my mom, using Voice to Skull into acting a certain way, behaving a certain way. And this was used on her long before it was used on me. I'm trying to find out, but okay, like so yeah, the CIA coordinates it. They give they contract the U.S. Army intelligence to do it. It involves Department of Homeland Security, who primarily controls the physical stalkers. The FBI is also involved. Pretty much every law enforcement agency down to the local level, Seattle Police, is involved. They have their own a huge amount of private military. They have their own private military, the CIA, and that's who they use to control the UAVs. The private military. They also have they also use them for their own Black Ops hit squads, and that is what they are threatening to use on these Army intelligence personnel. Black Ops hits and or death by directed energy from the UAVs. They have them over their base where they're operating from, if they are on base. Like she said, They target them up, we take them down. CIA. So they do this to. This is going on a lot. They've been the CIA has been on my family even since my mom was a kid. Like I said, like since birth. Um, but yeah, it's been bad. I've been. They've been using microwaves heavily on me. My brain for the past over the past week. It's been continuous, dude, and like I'm kept severely depressed because of it. Um, this tonight I woke up like severely depressed. That was like they've been doing it in my sleep. They're having her constantly threaten my family, threaten to kill and or rape women I love. They're threatening to kill my dad. They're threatening to kill people I know. That everyone I know will die. So what's happening is that she answers to her commanding officer, superior officer, and he answers directly to the CIA. They they have her commanding officer on voice to skull himself, and he's just repeating what they say to her, and she repeats it to me. They also use voice to skull on her at times. That's their primary contact with the CIA is voice to skull. They the ones operating the computer program that runs the filters for the voices, that may either be a programmer with the with military army intelligence, or it may be a CIA employee themselves running that program. But the PMCs running that are piloting these UAVs, they answer directly to the CIA too. What they've been doing, man, is they've been most of this is worst at home. It's been like that for a while. The directed energy and the voice of skull harassment. It's really intense. And what they've been trying to do for a while, is to gang stalk me, get me in trouble, get me institutionalized in a mental facility, or put me away. Get me convicted of something and put me away. And what they're trying to do is separate me and my mom. Because if I'm not here to help protect her, their primary target right now is my mom. And they are trying to get me out permanently so that they can kill her using directed energy. They've already been using a lot of directed energy on her for the past year. And I can see the effects. And they brainwave, use microwave frequencies, mind control frequencies on both of us. So yeah, these people, the people that live in the neighborhood, in the area, and the physical stalkers, they all are used at some point. They're all hit. V2K is used on all of them at some point. The people live around me and the stalkers that come close to me, in order to update them on what to do, what I'm thinking, what I'm doing, where I am. If they can't see me, if they don't know where I am off the bat and they're close, they'll tell them. So they've all heard this woman give them orders. And so yeah. They've been they've already killed members of my family. And they're having her say stuff like, your family member wanted to die by the time we were done with her. That's what they're making her say. A lot of this is heavily racist, dude. Heavily racist. And it's out of place, because the same, they've been on me heavily since early adolescence. And that is around the time that I started to have severe depression being induced by directed energy. It just came out of nowhere, really, when I was like 14. But before that, even when I was like 12 or something like that, I started to become a target of racism, racial slurs, a lot of racism from people I knew, even my age, which was really out of place, because I thought that anti-Japanese sentiment was something widespread back in maybe the 40s and 50s and maybe the 60s, but to have that around the millennium, around 2000 and stuff, and then continue from then on, from people my age, it was really out of place, dude. Really out of place. And I still encounter it. My mom does too. So these people are, I mean, she encountered it when she was a kid too. So that is a big part of it. Overt racism. And, that makes it a hate crime. um, Police, SPD have started coming around, participating in the stalking again, passing me like on a daily basis again, um, under direction of DHS, most likely. Um, I went to doctors about this. I saw a new doctor because the last one I had, the practitioner, was not helpful at all. He would actually, he did not like to treat me. Like he would, often when I told him about, symptoms I was having, he would simply ignore it. He would look at me, like angrily, like super angry, when I would report it because they were brainwaving him, probably threatening him as well. When he did give me a referral, it was with great hesitance, and it was to people that would gaslight and write off my symptoms as something else. So I just saw the doctor a couple days ago and reported the microwaving symptoms and all that. I didn't say it was microwaving, but the way I described it, there's no other explanation for it. There's the heating, intense heating that comes on randomly. Fuck. Yeah, they're hitting my head right now with particle beams. These UAVs are two types. The ones lower in the sky, the spherical ones, they're brighter because they're closer, and those are the ones used. They have cameras. They're for surveillance only. They get low. The ones that are higher in the sky are used for hitting. The only thing they're armed with usually are particle emitters, and they use charged particles, accelerate usually electrons, and fire them. And they're versatile weapons. They can be used for anything. Now the microwaves, they're redirected from cell phone towers. So I'm going back to what I was saying. They need the spotter UAVs in place, the surveillance ones. They need those in place to be able to acquire and lock onto a target. Without those, they can't they can't hit them because they can't track them. So they need to coordinate. They need those to target. The hitters are the ones high in the sky hitting you from above. They when they're hitting you with microwaves, or voice to skull, which runs on radio frequency straight to the audio centers of your brain. They need microwaves and radio frequencies to do that. So what they do is they redirect them. They use kinetic, those charged particle beams. They can pull. They can move shit around. Okay, I've seen it happen. All right, items in my room and stuff. They've stolen stuff. They've taken my CDs most recently, a CD player. They've taken my music. These are 2 books I had full of CDs. They're gone now. They took them. They took a telescope of mine. So what they do is they pull off of these cell phone towers. There's also a radio tower for a train yard close to my house that they can use as well. It's really close. But primarily cell phone towers. They pull microwave frequencies off these towers. And so they're pulling from the sky, and then they create a stream. And then a second UAV um, will push downward into the stream and direct them down onto me. So it's like a peak going down, and that's how they hit you. So they use that primarily as their source of microwaves. These things run on gyroscopic inertial thrusters, so they're able to stay in the air indefinitely. These things weigh roughly maybe about 200 pounds or more, and about maybe half of that is the internal thruster, which is very, very costly and expensive. Now, these things what they look like is they're spherical, perfectly spherical, except for they look like they're just encased in steel, really high grade steel, except for 3 prongs that are diagonal. One's in the center, pointing downward. One's in the top at an angle. The other's at the bottom at an angle. And what those are used for they are used to generate the glow around them, the field of light that surrounds them. So they're like, and I figured they would be, to generate that light field, and that is primarily camouflage, to make them look like a star or a satellite or something, because all you see is that light. And so that's what they're there for. The ones that other than that, they're perfectly spherical, except for ventilation, like a grill that runs all around the circumference of the sphere of the craft, and it's like a grill, kind of like that, little square openings that run all along the side of it, and they just spin. They're spinning constantly at a very high rate, and to keep themselves airborne. So the ones the surveillance, the spotters, they have cameras mounted on the bottom that can, so they can watch multiple cameras, maybe 4 or something like that or more. The hitters, their weapons are housed within the fuselage, the exterior, on the bottom. So they are firing. There may be an opening on the bottom, a small one, so they can hit through it, but they generally keep that shit concealed, just in case the light fails or there's a engine failure and they drop, which sometimes happen.